Let's now return to the chopper races, which are no doubt taking place here in Atlanta. And since I figured, well, upgrading this thing with the stage 2 parts was going to be the cheapest, I already have those installed if you were watching the previous episode, so that proves it. And now, I think it's time for me to do some customization to this thing, and also for me to change my rider, because I played as Malik before and I figured, well, now might as well be the time for me to change riders. So that's what I'm going to do. On now to cueing the music. Alright, we have now customized our hot match Quivito, and I have now swapped out Malik for Ron, because, well, I quite like his denim jacket as well as his suit, and quite honestly his bandana as well. I quite like the fact of saying that he's very much got denim wear in this suit. So, you know what, I am going to do this. Just because I want to make it diverse on both sides, if you know what I mean. But anyway, here we go. Time now for part 2 of the Choppers of America Bike Club. And I also have a good compromise.
Orale, you good game, we know that.
And I also have a good compromise regarding the weight transfer button as well. And because this one is the closest, I am going to head over to this one first, because it's the closest to me in terms of distance. Oh yeah, I should also show you one more thing just whilst I'm here. So in the options and the controller mappings, I switched to the weight transfer button over from, I think it was R3 initially. No wait, hold on. I think it was, no wait, it was L1 that I initially had the weight transfer for, but then I switched it over to triangle because I figured it would make a decent compromise once I, oh yeah, it was circle I initially had for the weight transfer. Well, anyway, I switched the weight transfer button over to triangle because I figured it made for a decent compromise. And also because, well, it makes my job easier. And the Hotlanta tournament, I am not doing that yet because I need to do this one first. Starting off with drops. Now it is time for our first chopper race here in Atlanta. We did the first 7 in San Diego, so I'd imagine we're probably going to do the next 4 races here in Atlanta, and then after that, it'll probably be another 4 in Detroit, I think it is. Well, we'll wait and see. Anyway, here we go. This is probably going to take me a few tries, but once I manage to get used to riding the bike again, I'd say we should be okay. Oh, come on. Do you basically have to ruin my efforts even before they get going? Was that really necessary? Because personally, I don't think it was. Unless you really hate me. Then in which case it might have been necessary, but it's not possible for me to see what I did to piss the game off, or the traffic off. So, I don't know. It's probably none of my business. And I have gone through the shopping mall again. Oh well, doesn't matter. I still managed to nail the jumps at least, so it's not like I'm really losing that much time. I mean, I'm only just behind the guy ahead of me, so it's not like I'm really missing that much, in all honesty. I'm just making sure to stay in the fight. It's also good to know that you can actually gather the checkpoints even from a wide enough distance, as in you can actually gather those. Yeah, this bike has literally hit the limiter at 200. That could have been a lot worse than it was intending to be, but it doesn't matter, because eventually I won. Over Arnie, Tracy, Ray Ray, Ivana, Weston, and weren't there 7 of us in this race? Or was it 6? I think it might have been 6. Whatever.
Orale!
It was probably 7 of us, but I didn't really think about giving the 7th placed guy time to finish. Oh well. Doesn't matter. And we've now got more rider outfits available. Took me 19 minutes to officially get my Quivito back on winning form. But anyway, 1 race down, and I think it's 3 races to go, as we are now doing Dirty Birds. I wonder what this is going to mean. Aside from pigeons. And we are very much in formation. I think there are 7 of us here. Yeah, there is. Okay. I don't think this is going to be too hard to work my way around. I just need to make sure I'm not wrecking myself before the end. Why did I figure sooner or later I was going to go too fast to make the corner? Even with Raw, I just basically knew the odds of me avoiding all the chaos were just as futile as they could get. Because of this time, I'm basically eating my crap. Because that's pretty much how I feel right now. I feel like I'm just nosediving in my own fucking crap. Because I just cannot seem to put together a run that's actually solid enough for me to physically waltz away from my competition behind me, nor the traffic in front of me. In other words, to put it simply, I am struggling mightily to somehow adapt to just getting back in the rhythm of me handling these bikes. Because apparently it might be, I am terrible at riding bikes in this game, which honestly doesn't surprise me. Because I cannot ride these bikes to save my life. And even when I do manage to put together a run that's decent enough for me to succeed, I don't think there's any guarantees in saying that I will succeed. Why did I figure that was going to happen? I was basically just waiting for that to happen, but nonetheless it didn't matter because I still got the win. Eventually. To say I lack the experience to ride a chopper in this game is causing all the losses and failures would be an understatement. But maybe if it's possible now, this might be the time where I do manage to get back into the rhythm of riding the chopper again. So Weston was second, Mayo third, followed by Ray Ray, Tracy, Arnie, and Ivana.
Not bad, son.
Yeah, whatever you say, baby. Baby, by the way, in case you do or don't know, is basically the guy who appears only in voice but not in facial appearance, unlike Oscar. But anyway, we've done 2 races, so maybe if it's possible we can get through the next few, and oh shit, it is raining. I think that means my already terrible bike riding skills in this game have basically just become even worse now, because it's wet. Yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna pretend that previous race I did never happened, because, well, it was raining, and basically, well, it was leaving me infuriated. So I decided the infuriation was getting too much, and I figured this would be an easier location for me to not have to worry about getting completely fucked over on the jump. Because, well, that's basically what was happening before. And since this is a course I'm familiar with, hopefully it will not be as much of a bitch for me to work my way around, because, well, doing a circuit race in the wet in this game, it is like trying to talk with a psychopath. As in, you just cannot physically find a way of racing in the rain without encountering very pure evil before the end of it all. And in all honesty, I think the circuit race I was doing before was Big Air. But I decided, well, it was just becoming too much for me to cope with. And in all honesty, I kept making the same mistakes over and over again, so I just decided to reset the game and head elsewhere. And maybe, if it's possible after this, get a dry race in the process once I'm done here. Because if there is one thing I hate in this game, it's racing in wet weather. Because as I said before, it's like you're speaking to a psychopath. Because there is just so much chaos that you cannot physically control, even if you wanted to. But luckily, this time around, I actually got given a break. And I managed to put together a run on a course I'm familiar with, as I won by 6.1 seconds over Maddie, Ray Ray, Ivana, Dwayne, and Boo.
I told you there was punks.
Where have I heard that before? I'll get the replay now. I figured this was about the time where I'd get the replay, because I know one of the upcoming races is going to be a circuit race that I have basically come to hate in wet weather, because I can basically do nothing about the wet weather to physically and mentally save my life. In other words, it feels like someone is just going to put me on the operating table, and then I'm basically going to die before the operation even starts. That is just how physically insane wet weather racing in this game really is. Because as I said before, it feels like you're trying to negotiate with a psychopath. Because of everything that just ensues, and basically all the agony you have to endure as the player. I'm not saying it's like this for all wet weather races, but when it comes to the really tricky ones, they basically gone from being very hard to just being downright hellacious on some of them, because there are just some courses in the wet in this game that you honestly cannot physically get a break from, regardless of how much chaos you try to avoid both physically and mentally. It's just not going to work. I really hope the next race is not going to be a wet one. God, please do not let this next one be a wet race. Because if it is, then I will be very displeased. Oh, thank God. It's not a wet race this time. Okay, now I might have a chance. Because I can actually grip my bike now, compared to before. I actually feel like I can control it, and we've also got clear skies as well. which means hopefully we can have fun this time. I just had a cough to get out of my mouth. If you heard anything, sorry about that, but whatever. At least it's not raining, because when it rains on this course, it is just downright unbearable. As in, I cannot physically ride this course to save my life in the wet. That is just how hellacious this whole course just really is in the wet. You're basically just asking for a saviour that's never going to come. And that's why I think it's just outright unconquerable in the wet. At least that's what it is with me, because this course in the wet, to say it's a hellhole would be a massive understatement. It's basically unlike anything else you can race in this game, and it's literally for all the wrong reasons. Because, as I said before, I cannot physically ride around this course to save my life. That's literally just how much I hate it. And I still hate it now, but at least it's bearable. In the dry. Oh, and someone has gone way out. I still don't think I'm going to win this, though. I might need to consider myself lucky if I do. Or unless I can time my roar correctly. And oddly enough, I do. And just to make sure I get over the bridge, I downshift. And also making sure that I stay in control of my car. Sorry, my bike. I need to nail this bastard. And I need to make sure I do it right. And oddly enough, this time around I do. I'm so glad the game threw me a bone in the end, as I won by under 3/10 ahead of Maddie, Casey, Tyler, Bricks, and Boo.
What'd I tell you? You was racing a fool.
Not really. And we have one more race to go. Oh yeah, I think it's 7 races in San Diego and 5 races here in Atlanta. And then I think it's the last 3 races that come in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, it's gonna stay dry. Thank God. Because if there is one thing I have really learned to fear in this game, it is wet weather. Because wet weather racing in this game, it is a hellhole, to say the very least. Come on. Keep me in it, keep me in it, keep me in it, keep me in it. Please keep me in it. Don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. Don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. Please don't choke. Come on, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. Don't choke, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. Ah, finally. Thank God. I'm not going to say anything else about that race. Terry, Fernando, Rachel, Ivana. Whatever. Don't care. So glad that's finally done. After recording this second part now for 32 minutes and basically just choking in every other area where I know I shouldn't be choking, but still choked anyway. Because that's just how terrible I am at riding choppers in this game. In other words, I am a terrible bike racer. And I am so glad that's now done. Because it means I don't have to go through the absolute horror and torture than what I went through in that last hour and a half. It's done. That's all I care about. And now I'm going to move on to something that's a bit less... I'm going to move on to something that is a bit less punishing when it comes to chokes. In other words, I'm going to move on to my Chrysler for the next event, because I will be doing the luxury sedans as my next set of club races. Also because I may need this thing. So, the chopper races here in Atlanta have now been beaten. Thankfully. And next time, I'm going to be using the Chrysler for my next episode, because we will be doing the luxury sedan races coming in the next episode.